Good morning, everybody. Back up in this thing, Planet Hog now. Yeah, man. I'd like to welcome you back to your planet, my planet, everybody's planet, but mostly my planet, and definitely not. Let's see, whose planet is it not today? It's not Robert De Niro's planet. Man. I I was on the ride home today. I was listening to I guess LL Cool J made a he felt the need. It was incumbent upon him to address the shooting of Walter Wallace in Philadelphia, right? And it was what you would expect from a celebrity and from a black celebrity. It was exactly what you would expect. It was emotional, it was illogical, it was riddled with false equivalencies and terrible analogies. It was just a geyser of horseshit. It was one of the worst things that I've listened to in a long time. And I'm absolutely astounded at you get these people who essentially have nothing but time on their hands because they don't have a real job. And they're surrounded by the best of everything. And they've got, you know, in most cases, more money than they could spend. And yet, so many of them are some of the dumbest people walking this planet. It it's baffling to me. But yet, and still, these are the people who would dare to be the thought leaders and would portend to tell us how to live our lives. It's it really is amazing to me. But anyway, if you haven't heard it, I would highly recommend that you don't waste your time. Um, Let me save you that by giving you some of the headlines of it. Let's see. Scared cops shouldn't if you're working these neighborhoods of black people and you're scared, you shouldn't be there, which actually is a point I agree with, but the way it was framed was completely off. Um, let's see. At one point, he made an analogy and asked people in Virginia when the last time black people from Chicago ruined their day to day affairs or intervened in their life in a way that was negative, and that was somehow supposed to represent illegal immigration. I'm still trying to figure that out. What else we had? Oh, we had a nice little colorful apothegm, if you will, about how when a bear fights a what the hell was it? When a bear fights a wolf, the fox can steal the rabbit. Okay, I guess. It was just a geyser of horseshit. It was just a somebody drilling in their backyard and an oil crew just sprays into the sky of horseshit, of just self-indulgence, of sanctimonious bullshit. And there's just a lack of self-awareness to think that for some reason you represent this contingency. I'm sorry, it's you live in Hollywood probably, right? So I don't understand it. I just don't understand it. You're a rich dude. Shut up. Just shut the fuck up, okay? Because your treatment is nothing like anyone else's, and guaranteed in any situation he finds himself in that is unpleasant. Do you know who I am? Comes out of his mouth pretty quickly. I'm LL Cool J. Okay, well, anyway, Yeah, so that was an awful thing, but it passed the time. You know, it passed the time. I travel, I drive a lot for work, so it passed the time. And man, just to digress a little bit further before we get into today's topic, and today we're going to be talking about Dominion, like I said I would yesterday. We'll dive a little bit more into it today. But there was this TV show that I saw when I was kind of walking into the office, and it's called All Rise. I don't know if anyone's ever seen it, but it has Simone Missick, who I saw from Luke Cage. She was the cop in Luke Cage, and she was really attractive. So I was like, okay, good to see her getting her own show, and she's supposed to play this judge. And I remember seeing the previews for it, and I just knew what it was going to be. When I looked at it, I was like, you can just kind of tell, you can just smell the social justice messaging and horseshit and politics coming off of these shows, unfortunately. So I'm like, all right, well, I'm not going to watch it. But, hopefully, if it's a good show, hopefully it does well. I don't know. Well, like I said, I was walking through the office today and it just happened to be on the TV. So I paused for the cause for a minute. And I'm not going to lie to you, I watched maybe 20 seconds and that told me everything I needed to know. So, excuse me. So they're using the ongoing protests and civil unrest for creative content, because of course. And I noticed that all the characters were wearing masks, which, okay. And of course, there's some black girl who's in an alley and there's a white police officer there and she has to intervene. And I mean, it was just so cringe. It was so cringe. But, he said she was looting and she says, I'm not looting. And she reaches into the little teenage girl reaches into her bag and the cop draws his gun. And this powerful judge steps in between and de-escalates it. She's just like, hey! And the cop doesn't shoot in that moment. And everything calms down for a second. So if that wasn't cringy enough, then you cut to the next scene, which is, I guess, in the lobby of some courthouse, because it's kind of a legal drama, I'm assuming. And there's some lady. She's kind of... So there's a bunch of people, and she's basically the COVID police, right? So there's a couple of cops just kind of chilling, and she with their mask below their nose, and she's like, it's not a it goes over your nose. She had some little witty comment, and then she was yelling at people about social distancing. Like it was straight up COVID propaganda. It was straight up COVID propaganda, for a disease that isn't killing anybody anymore. But it's man, I just don't understand the bubble these people live in, where number one, the pretentious nature for you to think that you have the right to dictate to the rest of us how to live. You can go fuck yourselves. You people don't have real lives. You people are fake for a living and get paid lots of money to do that because, we deign to turn you on and, perform for us. And that's it. That's your role. And know your role. There it is. So anyway, I was looking up this. Anyway, when I was trying to get the lady's name, who's the star, I looked it up. And as I was punching it into the search engine, one of the first things that pops up is All Rise is likely to be canceled. Go figure. Right. And and here's the other thing. All of the major characters that I saw in the 30 seconds I was watching, they're all female. And again, if this were to happen in some kind of organic fashion, I don't think a lot of people would have a problem with it. But because it's obviously being force fed, there's obviously an agenda here, and you're going to get a lot of social programming. It's just cringy, but it looks like it's going to be canceled. So that's fine. They'll keep doing this. Their shows will keep failing. And I was actually talking to a friend of mine about this yesterday. We were kind of talking about the Marvel movies and how social justice horseshit is killing them. And, they'll just keep doing it. Fine. Just burn it all down. Because eventually, what will happen is a different version of Hollywood will emerge from the ashes of this that says, you know what, we're just going to get back to making entertaining stuff and stop telling people how to live their lives. And that will do very well until they too become infatuated with their own indulgence and their own influence, and they fall into the same trap, and the cycle repeats. Anyway, I didn't come here to talk to you about that. Anyway, today we're going to talk about the Dominion systems, like I said I would yesterday. So, for those of you who don't know, the Dominion system is actually some software that a lot of these battleground states and amongst others have been using to count votes and to kind of sort through the votes. The problem is there's a few quote unquote glitches with it, right? We heard about the massive number of votes that got switched from Trump to Biden, and it's happened many times. And for me, that's why I say quote unquote glitch, because if it happened one time, okay, glitch. But if it's doing it universally, and which at this point it would appear it is, and I have some stuff that'll be down in the description box, obviously, the sources that I'm looking at today. But if it keeps happening, there's a reason why it's called a computer program, because it's programmed. It meaning it was directed to do what it's doing. So if it's a one-off, fine, maybe it's a glitch. But if it keeps happening, no, somebody is making it do that. But anyway, we're going to start reading today from the Washington Times. The headline reads, "Designed to rig elections. Trump's legal team demands a probe of Dominion voting software." Rudy Giuliani, President Trump's personal attorney, called for a probe. And it starts. President Trump's legal team on Sunday said accusations of rigged voting machines not only cast doubt on the election results, but also demand a national security investigation. Dominion voting systems, widely used ballot scanning machines, and vote tabulation software are suspected of violating, how did I get that? Are suspected of inflating vote totals for presumed President-elect Joseph R. Biden. Those suspicions so far are not fully substantiated. The company, however, is not a stranger to election integrity concerns, including a corporate lineage with links to the late Venezuelan socialist strongman Hugo Chavez. It was designed to rig elections, Sidney Powell, a leader of Trump's legal team, told Fox News channel's Maria Bartiromo on her Sunday morning Futures program. Ms. Powell said Mr. Trump should fire CIA Director Gina Haspel for allowing the software to be used throughout the U.S. It should never have been installed anywhere, she said. The former New York Mayor Rudolph W. Giuliani, another point man for Trump's legal team, called for a national security investigation. "It was used to cheat in elections in South America," he said. "I can't imagine you would just use that unless you were out of your mind." The suspicion stemmed from the discovery on election night that Dominion ballot scanners and software switched 6,000 votes from Mr. Trump to Mr. Biden in Antrim County, Michigan. The mix-up was caught and corrected, and the correction is reflected in Mr. Biden's 150,000 vote lead in Michigan's tally. Speculation of widespread vote switching ensued because Dominion Voting Systems provides voting technology to more than 24 states. The company claims on its website to service 40% of America's voters. Claims that the company's technology could have been manipulated adds to the drama of Mr. Trump's election challenges, which includes a barrage of state and federal lawsuits to reverse Mr. Biden's projected win. "Rigged election, we will win," Mr. Trump tweeted Sunday in all capital letters. The left-leaning mainstream media outlets dismiss concerns about Dominion voting machines as a conspiracy theory. The Associated Press reported in a fact check that there is no evidence to support Mr. Trump's claims that the election technology deleted large numbers of votes for him. I never say anything I can't prove, Ms. Powell said. Dominion said allegations that its machines contribute to election fraud are 100% false. Dominion Voting Systems categorically denies false assertions about vote switching and issues with our voting systems, the company said in a statement posted on its website. The website linked to a report by the Homeland Security Department's Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency reporting, vouching for the integrity of the November 3rd election. The systems and processes used by election officials to tabulate votes and certify official results are protected by various safeguards that help ensure the accuracy of the election results. These safeguards include measures that help ensure tabulation systems function as intended, protect against malicious software, and enable the identification and correction of any irregularities, the security agency's report said. Republican officials raised the alarm when a Dominion ballot scanning machine in the Republican stronghold of Atrium County reported unofficial results showing Mr. Biden beat Mr. Trump by about 3,000 votes. Election officials then discovered the ballot scanner and reporting software had been misconfigured and gave votes for Mr. Trump to Mr. Biden. After fixing the mistake, Mr. Trump won the county by roughly 2,500 votes. Michigan officials blame the mix-up on human error. Critics contend that voting machines that are vulnerable to accidental vote switching could be manipulated by bad actors. It's not only Mr. Trump supporters making accusations of potential ballot tampering through Dominion's machines and software. Georgia poll watcher Garland Favorito, a co-founder of the election integrity group Vote GA, identified suspicious ballot counts in a sworn affidavit filed to the Georgia Secretary of State. I concluded from looking at these results that this was an irregularity since there was no obvious reason for President Trump's totals to have decreased while former Vice President Biden's totals increased dramatically, he said in the affidavit. He witnessed an unexplained 20,000 vote increase for Mr. Biden and a 1,000 vote increase for Mr. Trump. Mr. Favorito, who said he is neither a Republican nor a Trump supporter, said the artificially inflated votes for Mr. Biden emanated from the same Dominion software used in Michigan. The software appears to have thrown votes from Trump to Biden here too, he told Real Clear Investigations. Or Biden ballots were manufactured. A recount is underway in Georgia. Last year, Senator Elizabeth Warren of Massachusetts led 3 other Democrat lawmakers in warning that Dominion Voting Systems and 2 other voting technology firms were, quote, trouble-plagued and, quote, prone to security problems. The letters demanding answers from the companies were also signed by Senators Amy Klobuchar of Minnesota and Ron Wyden of Oregon. And Representative, why is there two ands here? Okay. And Representative Mark Pocan of Wisconsin. Dominion's corporate origins trace back to Smartmatic, a voting technology company established in 2000 that had ties to Chavez. Smartmatic was founded by 3 Venezuelan engineers incorporated in Delaware with headquarters in Boca Raton, Florida. By 2004, the company had vastly expanded and bought Bitsa, an electric voting company in which Smartmatic and the Venezuelan government both owned large stakes. In 2005, Smartmatic bought Sequoia, one of the top U.S. companies producing automated voting systems. U.S. officials began to take notice. Representative Carolyn Maloney, a New York Democrat, wrote in May 2006 to the Treasury Secretary John W. Snow, demanding an investigation of the Venezuelan government influence in U.S. voting systems. As you can imagine, having a foreign government invest in or buy a company that services U.S. elections could raise concerns about the integrity of the elections conducted by these machines, she wrote. Excuse me. Subsequent scrutiny of Sequoia voting and optical scan machines, which basically were rebranded Smartmatic systems, that's nice, found tabulation errors similar to those of disputed elections under Chavez in Venezuela. While under review by the on Foreign Investment in the United States, Smartmatic in 2006 sold Sequoia to Bain Capital, the corporate raider firm with ties to Senator Mitt Romney, Utah Republican. In 2010, Sequoia was purchased by Dominion, at the time a little-known Canadian company that manufactured voting machines. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I'm going to try to stick to the sources on this because obviously there's still stuff that's being shaken out. But I think we can surmise a couple of things. Number one, the fact that this is being used in our elections is it's disconcerting, to say the least. The fact that this software was, number one, owned by Venezuela, the Venezuelan government, the corrupt regime of Venezuela, and was used to, according to this article, manufacture results of the election, should have been an automatic disqualifier. I mean, I don't understand. I don't understand how this was a good idea to somebody, unless, obviously, the intention was to, wait for it, manipulate the results of the election. Well, that's not where the fund ends. Now I'm going to go to this is louderwithcrowder.com. For those of you who do not tune in to Steve Crowder, I would absolutely recommend it. He actually did an episode kind of talking about Dominion a little bit and took the liberty of leaving his notes online for people to find, which is a good thing. So here are some issues, known issues with the Dominion voting system, and I'll just read a few of these. Dominion has some ties to Democrats. One of Dominion's lobbyists is Pelosi's former chief of staff, and Dominion Systems was listed as a Clinton Foundation donor of $25,000 to $50,000. Let's see. In 2019, and I read about this. This was actually covered in the other article, but bears repeating. In 2019, Democratic Senators Elizabeth Warren, Amy Klobuchar, and Ryan Wyden issued a formal complaint about Dominion voting systems, referencing allegations of vote switching on machines and other undisclosed vulnerabilities. In August of 2020, data security expert Harry Hursty warned that Dominion voting machines could be hacked. And here's his written statement. By modifying just a few lines of code on the machine's memory card, Mr. Hursty says he could change the results of a mock election. The same model, he adds, will be among those used in the 2020 elections. A spokesperson for the machine's vendor, Dominion Voting, says that these weaknesses were fixed in 2012. But Mr. Hursty says that he has tested the new version and found the updates insufficient. Boy. Spalding County, Georgia, which went 60% for Trump in 2016, was one of the counties with a glitch that prevented day of voting for hours. Day of voting. Still no explanation for the glitches on the Dominion machines in Georgia, and election officials have released contradicting accounts. So, again, I'll incorporate both of these links down in the description, but just to kind of dive into it and give you my 2 cents, obviously we're dealing with something treacherous here. Obviously we're dealing with something underhanded here. I don't think I'm overstepping my bounds by saying that. The fact that we are using software, again, that is engineered, and if you want to make the argument it's not engineered to rig elections, okay, but it has the capability to do it. And that, again, has been verified and admitted in these sources that I'm using. So if it has the capability to do it, then obviously it was engineered to do it, right? So the fact that we're using that is very problematic. And again, going back to a previous point that I made on a different episode, I can't remember which one it was, but when you get caught cheating, which I think at this point we don't need to tiptoe around it anymore, but if we want to play the game, play the game. But I'm going to call it cheating. When you get caught cheating, it calls into account all of your previous victories, as well as cast aspersions on any future victories you may have. So, you know, this isn't a good look. Obviously, this is not a good look. I don't necessarily know where we go from here, because, they can say, okay, we're not going to use it anymore. But just like the article, the Washington Times article said, all they did last time was switch names. All they did last time was buy it out to a different name, slap a new brand on it, and just kept rolling along. So, and this is part of the reason why Donald Trump was elected in the first place. And this is part of the reason why a lot of people voted for him this time around. Because he is really, again, without a person as polarizing as Donald Trump, would we have known that the World Health Organization was in the bag for China? No. Would we know about Dominion voting software? No. So he's kind of really just shining a light into a very dark and dirty corner of American governmental society that most of us, if not all of us, had no idea existed. I mean, we probably could have, surmised, speculated, or theorized that it existed, but we're actually seeing it materially before our eyes right now. So we'll see what happens with this. His legal team is very confident that the evidence they have is going to flip the election for Donald Trump by millions of votes, not thousands. So I'm very curious to see this, because I've been hearing nothing but rave and fawning reviews about his attorney. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, that's the Dominion software that was used, again, not just coincidentally in all of the battleground states, but it was used in several of the other states, which is not actually listed which ones they were. And, maybe this is one of the cons of technology, right? As our technological capability increases, it seems like our motivation decreases, our laziness also increases. There's like a direct relationship between our technological advancements and human laziness. So maybe this is a downside, that we rely too much on machines, but according to the article, there was human error as well. So, I don't like the idea, obviously, of someone manipulating the results of the election. I mean, if you really want to tank the American faith in the system, if you really want to dissolve the system, this is how you do it. This is exactly how you do it. And you know what? You listen to all those people who, I'm sure you guys know of some, because I certainly do, of those people who say, we're not really, there's only the illusion of choice in America. Well, this is the kind of thing those people are talking about, right? I don't want to say I hate when I hear people say our democracy. We don't have a democracy, okay? We have a constitutional republic. It's really annoying when people say, America's democracy. We're not a democracy. We are not a democracy. But that's what happens when you stop teaching civics, right? People are stupid, like LL Cool J. Okay, so obviously this is some pretty bad stuff. There you go. That's my official opinion. This is some pretty bad stuff, but we'll see what shakes out. It really is alarming how deep the corruption ran. When I first heard Donald Trump talking about draining the swamp, I was just like, okay, that's a catchy kind of idiomatic campaign slogan. I don't know how accurate it is, right? Maybe it's just a representation because it's just meant to stir people up. But you know what? The longer this thing goes, man, he's right. It is bad, and the fact that Mitt Romney's in on it, that's not surprising to me. The fact that Nancy Pelosi's connected with it, that's not surprising to me. The fact that Hillary Clinton Foundation has been donated to by this, and I'm sure they have some kind of sway, that wouldn't be surprising to me either. I think fundamentally we're dealing with an issue, man. We really are. And I was looking at a couple of vlogs talking about how the COVID restrictions are coming back, and how you get these pundits on CNN talking about Christmas is canceled. I think that was Jake Tapper saying, "Oh no, no Christmas." These people, the audacity of these people to tell you what to do, but most of you will listen, right? A lot of these people up north, they listen, they go along with it. Okay, then you get what you get. But again, it's not human nature to self govern when you're being conceded to. I'll just put it that way. When you give people power over you, they only seek to take more. They never say, okay, this is enough and I'm happy right here. It's okay, how far can I push this? So we'll see, man. We'll see what's going on, but things are things are very, very dismal. I do not like the direction that we're going. And what's probably most vexing about this for me is supposing Joe Biden wins. Okay, supposing all of this falls through, Joe Biden wins because they say, look, there's not enough evidence, right? They'll say there's not enough evidence. That's it. Not that all of this is false. So all of this is true. Yes. Oh, yeah. We use this software that's used to rig elections. Yes. Oh, yes. We had situations of dead people voting. Yes. Yes. Okay. So there was cheating, but what? Not enough. So okay. I don't know where we go from there, because now the cat's out the bag. Everybody knows you cheated. Everybody knows the system is rigged. Everybody knows that we're dealing with a lot of dishonest people in power, and the people in power know that we know that. So at that point, once the aura or the facade of pretense has been destroyed, well, then the gloves really come off, don't they? Then it's okay, well, you know what I am, and I know that you know what I am. So now I'm going to just be me. Well, we'll see where we go from there, man. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that is where we are going to leave it today. I certainly appreciate all of you listening. And I will check in with you all tomorrow. So until then, ladies and gentlemen, peace.